Hello, my lovely hummingbirds, and welcome back to another episode of Makeup and Motivation here on Pop Culture with your lovely host, Monroe. For today's topic of conversation, if you're noticing the Harry Potter stuff just everywhere, is because today's topic, one of my multiple ones, yes. Today's topic of conversation is none other than how to be an original in a world of reboots. And considering that HBO Max, or now just simply Max, is launching a Harry Potter reboot series of like the books that was adapted into the films, I was like, you know, why not pay homage to our book savvy, time traveling spew queen herself, then Hermione Granger. Today's look is inspired by her Yule Ball dress because I don't own a replica of it. So of course we're just gonna go with the color scheme and put it on our eyelids because that's what we do here on Makeup and Motivation. And in case you're wondering, yes, she did go to the Yule Ball with none other than Bulgarian bonbon Victor Creme and Stanyanevsky. Baby, if you ever see this, yo también quiero que me lleve el tiburón. I have issues, y'all. Anyway, but before we begin the makeup look, I would really appreciate it if you would all join me in a moment of silence for the following individuals: Tina Turner, Pete Brown, Jim Brown, Andy Rourke, Cotton Nash, Algie Ward, and Martin Amis. Now, please join me all for this moment of silence. Thank you all for joining me in that moment of silence. I really appreciate it. Just also a little disclaimer here, because, and we are going to go into this a bit more during the episode itself, but here in Pop Culture, we completely support the LGBTQIA+ community, myself being part of it. For Harry, but I'm a bi-ass baby. I don't know. I have very androgynous looks at times, but as we know, J.K. Rowling has, oh good JKR, that woman has said a lot of very, very problematic statements over the course of the past few years. And no way in any shape or form do we support that. As I've stated before, at this point, the Harry Potter universe really is just ran by the fans and is headcanon. Do I necessarily support the reboot of what is happening? Not really. But yeah, first let's get into the makeup look, and then we're gonna get into everything about the show and all that stuff, and how this is even going to pertain to makeup and motivation. Yeah, okay, here's the makeup look. Hi my lovely hummingbirds. To get us kicked off with today's makeup look, we are going to go in with Limecrime Venus III palette in the shade Rapture, and you're going to put that on your upper brow bone area. Work it outward, inward. We're trying to go with like a winged look, if you will, because why not? It's the Yule Ball. Let's go all out. Now, once you've gone ahead and applied that, we're going to go in there with the shade Ecstasy. Because, you know, my girl Hermione Granger was definitely on cloud 9. Going to Yule Ball with Bulgarian bonbon Victor Creme. My jokes aside, you're going to take that color and you're going to apply it to the crease area. Just to add, you know, a little bit more definition, a little bit of contrast to the look. I will say this, though, when I did it, it looked a little too defined in my opinion, so I did go in there and fluff it out with my blending brush just to like smooth that transition from the shade Rapture into this one, so it looked a little more floofy, a little more blended out. Now, once you've gone ahead and done a little bit of blending, we go in there with the shade Heavenly. What'd I say about Cloud9? You're gonna apply that to our eyelids. Now, the reason this is sped up like crazy is because this shade is very packable. What does that mean? It means you need to apply more to really give it that glisten. I do love the color of this sparkly pigment here, but yeah, you definitely gotta pack it on. And of course, because I did not measure how much packing on I was doing, we had to go back in there with the shade Ecstasy and re-up it because I definitely went over. I did not stay within the lines. Now, once we're done reapplying, we're gonna go in there with the So Jaded Colourpop palette in the shade My Precious, because you are the prized possession of this man who will save you from the Black Lake with the, not the bubblehead charm. I don't know, but he looks like a shark. Anyway, you're gonna go ahead and apply My Precious to the upper brow bone area and floof it out. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead, put on the rest of my makeup, but in the meantime, you can go ahead and follow me on all of my handles. And there she is. It's giving. Damn it, Ron, why couldn't you just ask me your fucking self instead of ruining my date night with Victor Crumb? It's giving goddess. It's giving witch of the century. It's giving smartest witch of her year. It's giving, look at her, she's so beautiful. Alright, my lovely hummingbirds, if this is where you're leaving me, les mando mucha paz, muchos besos, y les recuerdo que miren hacia la luna, sending you much peace, many kisses, and reminding you to always look up at the moon. But if you are sticking around with me, please join me for today's episode of Makeup and Motivation, how to be an original in a world full of reboots. Now, if Hermione Granger were a fuckboy, this is what she would look like. You know, the fucking Gryffindor snapback with the tie on the slutty shirt with the fucking Letterman. Okay. Oh my god, the microphone's not even plugged in. Jeez. We're plugged in. Hi, my lovely hummingbirds. How's it going, everyone? So, yes, I gave my Hermione Granger an Amy Winehouse wing. It was not on purpose. But nonetheless, I think, you know, in the later years, I think Hermione would have definitely been a fan. Book Hermione would have definitely been a fan. And we're going to get into why that is. If you guys haven't read the books, that's totally okay. It's fine. You can borrow one of mine if you want to. In non-Harry Potter related news. So today's topic of conversation is how to be an original in a world full of reboots, which is why we are covering the Harry Potter series that is set to release on HBO and all that good shit. Before we get into that though, so some new music that dropped was Dua Lipa for the Barbie soundtrack, which, like, are you guys gonna go watch the Barbie movie? Because I totally want to go see it. Because Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling alone. And then, have you guys have seen any of the trailers? All of the cast is just top tier. Like, that's really why I want to go see it. Besides that, someone made a meme of Supernatural and Barbie. And it's when fucking Sam and Dean get arrested in Little Rock, and then Dean goes, I call this one Blue Steel, and he makes a face, and then it shows Barbie and Ken's mugshot, and Ken says, and Ken, which, like, he's an accessory, duh, but it says two images with the same energy, and I was like, oh my god, Sam is Barbie, and Dean is Ken. And I don't know how I feel about it. Because it's Sam and Dean. And it's Barbie and Ken. And honestly, I feel kind of hurt. but I thought it was so good. So yes, even more incentive to go watch it. Ken giving off Dean Winchester vibes. Who'd have thunk it? I sure didn't. Anyway, all that aside, another announcement, Lady Gaga, House Labs, June 6th at Sephora. They're not promoting this, but I need that foundation in my life. I don't know how, but the Lord will find a way for me to have the dinero for that foundation. Mother, Gaga, House Labs, Sephora, if you want to sponsor me that foundation, that would be even more amazing. Thank you. Manifesting. In not music. Wait. Oh my god, I almost forgot. Okay, I'm gonna get into that in a second. But Netflix, how dare you? I'm hurting right now. No, I'm not the friend that pays for the Netflix, but like, there should be a clause somewhere in there. It's my parents' Netflix. And my siblings and I were all on it because, like, I pay for all the other streaming services. So do they. Everybody picked a streaming service, essentially. And just went with it. And how am I supposed to binge Bridgerton again for the 50 billionth time this week and cry my little fucking heart of wanting love out? If you've done this to me, now I have to go move back home just to binge it. The audacity, Netflix. ¿Por qué me haces esto? I'm being super fucking dramatic, I know. I am just gonna end up paying for it, which, like, really hurts my feelings, but it's fine. I'll live. Anyway, in other music-related news and releases, so Riot Fest has already announced its lineup. Sueños was the weekend at the time of this recording, and honestly, I'm sad I'm not there. It's fine. I'll cry about it later. Because I want to see La Diva, La Potra, La Caballota, Ivy Queen, and Wisin y Yandel, but, you know, here we are, alas, not seeing any of them. It's fine. It's not, but it's fine. I'm going down the list of everything. And then, yeah, I think that's all I had for music-related news. If you haven't seen yet the lineup for Riot Fest, it is this. I personally fucking love whoever's in charge of, like, Riot's social medias. Can I fucking word? Because they were like, yes, if you saw the lineup and you were offended by any of it, find personal fucking offense because it was specifically done to piss you off. I was like, this is why I love them. For this fucking reason. It was so good. Anyway, so in more movie-related news, James Bond. Who shall it be? No fucking clue. We still don't know. Está Rebel Wilson? Yes. I was gonna call her Fat Amy, because in Pitch Perfect, but Rebel Wilson, hilarious fucking actress, was like, yes, they told me I can announce it. I am James Bond, right? There's this whole big mystery around who's going to be the new James Bond, since Daniel Craig has since retired from the role. And I love the James Bond movies, so let's talk reboots, right? Oh my god, wait, before I even start going into this, Bad Bunny, my brain is just like right now. So Bad Bunny released Weekend at Asen, Where She Goes, and I thought he was going to start singing in puro inglés, and I was cackling at the memes because people were like, Benito, aquí se habla español en esta casa. I wholeheartedly, and like, y'all let me know if I'm wrong about this, but that's a fucking song about La Cargener. That's about La Kendall. It's about Kendall. You can't convince me otherwise. Like, damn, she rejected you for Michael B. Jordan,
and it's on like Donkey Kong now. It has to be. I don't think it's about Gabriela. I think it's about Kendall because there's a lot of imagery that I associate with their relationship. This PR stunt that Chris got going on. So the horses is one of them. The Burning Man-esque festival in the desert that kind of reminds me of Coachella vibes, but also literally a burning man was running through it, which I thought was hilarious. I don't know why I thought that was funny, but I cackled. I was like, oh my god, this is about Kendall. The scorpion, pretty sure she's a Scorpio. If I'm wrong about that, you'll see something here. And then just like a lot of little other fucking imagery in the video itself. He might be using this as a way to announce, hey, maybe new music is coming soon, maybe a new album. I think it's a little soon, personally. We just had Un Verano Sin Ti, but like, almost knocked over the microphone. But like, I don't know if we're ready for more Bad Bunny music. I think we're all still a little slighted. Not gonna lie though, the song is kind of a bop. I was listening to it and I was like, you know what? I might be mad at him, but it's a good song. I think it's about Kendall. I really do. I wholeheartedly believe that when she ignored him for Michael B. Jordan, he was like, oh yeah, it's on now. And then there's this one scene in it where he's like, oh, what the fuck did he say in the video? It's just a one night stand, or that's all it was supposed to be. Now we're in competition type of shit. We'll see, but I think it's about Kendall. I mean, he's not the first one to write songs about her. Harry Styles did it. Anyway, so speaking of British people, James Bond. That's a horrible segue. I'm so sorry. So James Bond films started ages ago. I absolutely love all the James Bond. They're some of my favorite movies. I've seen every single fucking movie. When I was younger, living back at home, every year around my birthday, they would have a James Bond marathon. And I would just binge it because, like, I love movies. I don't know, but I was, yeah. So I am pretty excited to see what they're gonna do with the film series moving forward. Which, speaking of reboots, what is a reboot? A reboot is essentially a play on something that's already been done. Not like a theater play, but like taking that concept, taking that idea, doing it over, or relaunching it into some capacity. We have seen a bunch of fucking reboots over the past couple years, especially because of COVID. So I think like during COVID, we all just went into this really big nostalgia kick where you saw like the Spice Girls announcing reunions, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, everybody was having a fucking reunion of like, oh my god, we're bringing this back, and I was just sitting there. And one of my intrusive thoughts, I'm not gonna lie to you, is like, oh my god, the world's gonna fucking end, isn't it? And they're all just giving us one final hurrah because they're like, you know what? The world's gonna blow up anyway, so we might as well just give all these 90s babies this, like, last, you know what? You had a good life. Look, everyone's getting back together. Your lives don't completely suck. That was one of my intrusive thoughts personally when I saw everyone was like, oh look, I did my nails to match it too. Anyway. But one of my intrusive thoughts, and then I was like, and they're just bringing everything back, aren't they? But some of the things that have recently gotten announced to getting reboots, besides like Scream, which is also a series, I don't know if Cobra Kai can be considered a reboot of the Karate Kid, or if it's just a continuation, or do continuations count as reboots. But the point is, we're just gonna say it's a reboot, just for sake of this video. The topic of conversation, calling it a reboot. reboots are also like iCarly that got a reboot. They're like doing the series again, but now as adults. Zoe 101 is set to have a reboot, which, like, I don't think any of us asked for that. I'm sorry, that's so mean. I know we've been asking for fucking... I would love to see a Lizzie McGuire reboot. That'd be pretty fucking cool. Drake and Josh definitely ain't gonna happen with all of Drake Bell's issues and fucked up shit that he's done. But, you know, considering they're going for it with J.K. Rowling after all the shit she said, who knows? Hollywood does and says as they do and say. Also, the Zoe 101 is little that the Ned's Declassified cast, they made a video, they're like, when Zoe 101 gets a reboot and Ned's Declassified doesn't. And I feel like that would do so well, because Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, right? Adult Survival Guide is what everyone on the internet is pitching. They're like, please, I need one. And honestly, please, because I need one too. I blinked and I was no longer 4. Like, what happened? Besides, like, my crippling chronic health issues and extracurriculars and life. That's what happened. But, so those are essentially reboots. Now, here's the thing though, right? Because, like, a reboot is not like, don't think sequels or prequels, but just taking the concept and doing it over is essentially a reboot. Or bringing it back, because sequels would be like continuation of the storyline versus bringing back like iCarly as Declassified, things like that. Now it would literally be the exact same show, just older version. That's a reboot. If you're thinking like House of Dragons, which is fucking a spin-off from Game of Thrones, wow. Or The Rings of Power, which is the prequel to The Lord of the Rings. Those are not reboots. James Bond films are all continuations to some degree of the same storyline. The only thing that changes is the Bond. You're just getting different stories within that timeline, right? And, oh my god, I just thought of this meme where it was like all the James Bonds to date essentially fought under the same queen. Now it's gonna be under the king, apparently. I'm gonna leave that alone for right now. But why does this matter in the journey of like self-love? So I'm literally just bouncing around today, you guys. My mental health has been crazy in the past few days, so I'm just a little right now, but bear with me. So, a reboot. Oh, Harry Potter. So here's the thing. I love Harry Potter. Okay, I grew up with it. It was literally everything for me growing up. Because, ooh, we about to get real personal right now. As a kid, well into even now, I love to read. I've always loved to read. When I was younger, that was really like my go-to outlet besides movies and listening to music. Like those and dancing. So my top 4 things throughout my entire life. 5 because archaeology. History. So my top 5 things throughout my life that have really just gotten me by: reading, and that is anything. Whether that is, my favorites obviously are fantasy, like, come on, fucking, my handle on here for the longest was Drizzt's wifey, so D&D. Harry Potter, now like webtoons, comics, like all of that, right? Love to read, but I also love history, so History Channel, Archaeology Digest, like all of that was my jam too. Dancing, listening to music, and movies. TV shows here and there, but I love just the artistry behind film and movies and how you can put so much into 90 minutes, right? So those 5 things. And reading especially was really, really, really fucking big for me growing up all the way into my adulthood. So reading has always gotten me through it. And so much so that when I was dying in the hospital because of my endo, they asked, literally dying, didn't realize until I was older that this was probably Make-A-Wish, but not the point. Should have asked for a trip to fucking Paris, but it's fine. They were like, oh, you know, what's, because they phrased it a certain way. But they were like, you know, basically, deathbed wish, what do you want, kid, right? That wasn't the verbiage. They were like, you know, what's the one thing that, like, you're gonna be really sad that you're not gonna get to do, right? Something along those lines. And I was like, 1, I'm never gonna get to have my quinceañera, but also, you know, because they couldn't add years to my life at that point, was the thought process. I was like, I will never get to find out what happens at the end of Harry Potter. I was like, that fucking sucks. And so they worked their magic, and my nurses and everyone then came and gave me the book, and I literally read it in one sitting, and they did my nails, they braided my hair. Also why I love red velvet cupcakes, because that was the little cupcake that they had given me. Anyway, so this series has been there through all of my childhood. And I'm sure that so many millennials out there, some Gen X probably, maybe some Gen Zs too, grew up around Harry Potter. Growing up with it, I was definitely a big advocate of like, okay, the books are so much better. The films are amazing for what they are, but they leave so much out. And so many times I was like, they should just have made it a series. They should make a series because they would be able to do so much. And then humanity lived entirely too fucking long. J.K. Rowling said things. Very, very derogatory things. And then as people started dissecting the books, they were like, you know, she uses this type of racial profiling, this is considered this is this, and I was just like, holy shit, what the fuck, right? So then, of late, especially because when they did the special for the show and like everyone got together, they just used clips of her, they didn't actually call her in. And then HBO was like, ooh, we should make some money off of this. Because to this day, Harry Potter is still one of the most sought out franchises. I think it was, what does it hold the record? It's like the Bible is first, then Harry Potter, and now I think it's fucking Prince Harry's. I shouldn't laugh. The Spare was like the next most bought book ever in history, or whatever the hell it is. Anyway, so it's still one of the most sought after series. People still introduce it to their kids. People love reading it. You know, they love the story behind it, right? And like I said in the intro, at this point it's headcanon because the fans have really done a job about taking it and making it their own. part of me wants to be very excited for the reboot of Harry Potter. I don't know if I can be. Not because of, like, society and everything and the J.K. Rowling of it all and all of that shit, because she's very, very heavily involved. And I remember, I think one of the things she had, so she's like, the only way I'm going to do this is if fucking Emma and Daniel come back and Rupert and, you know, the original cast and all this stuff, right? Lo dijo más entre de colmillos para afuera, but that's fine. Because they're not coming back. And I don't blame them. They've moved on in their careers, all this stuff. It's not they forgot where they came from. Absolutely not. It's more of a, you know, they grew up. Can't really say much else besides that. But not that I feel like it's too soon for a reboot, because, like, one of the things that just, like, me was when the last film came out and when the last book came out, and these are the dates right here, and I was just like, oh my god, estoy vieja. But what, so after all of the films and everything, right, was said and done, Fantastic Beasts came out. And that did not go as planned. Then The Cursed Child came out, and the play has gone on to be amazing and all this good shit, right? And she said specifically she doesn't want it to be a film, and then all of a sudden there were talks that, yeah, there was going to be a film. And am I thinking that she's kind of doing it on a greed basis versus, like, it being, I don't know, you know, everybody wants to make profit off their art, right? Other people have defended her. I think Voldemort has gone on and said, like, you know, we owe her all this stuff. He's stated, you know, you can't divide yourself with people based on their opinions, things like that. He's made statements of support towards her. I don't particularly agree with her viewpoints. The only thing that, like, radiates in my mind was one of her comments where she said, oh, for real women that menstruate, and I cried, because I don't. Having endometriosis and literally having my womb ripped out of me because it was killing me. I don't menstruate. I still get all the fun other side effects from a regular cycle, but, you know, I was just like, wow, that hurt my feelings. I know that's not, and that's probably, I don't know, right, I don't know the woman, but that might not have been how she meant it, but it's still, I don't know. It brought up my own insecurities of how I feel about everything, right? And then just looking with the eyes of an adult, right, backwards, because, like, I don't know if you guys have ever done this where it's like you go back to watch the things that you watched as a kid and you're like, why was I allowed to watch this? For some of them, and others you're like, how did no one catch this? One of my besties sent me a video of the fucking Teletubbies because we were talking about it the other day. I was like, bro, I was like, have you guys seen the meme that the Teletubby son had a baby and humanity's lived too long? And then she's like, bro, Teletubbies was always weird to me. And I was like, you didn't have a favorite Teletubby? Mine was Poe. And she sends a video of Tinky Winky. Yes, if you guys haven't seen the Teletubbies, I still know the fucking little Tinky Winky, Dipsy La La Po, some shit like that. But Tinky Winky's blowing one of the fucking things from the birthday, Las Espantasuegras, and it fucking tickles the butt of the other Tinky Winky, and I was like, wow, children with no, cuando uno no está maliciado, you just really don't think about it. And then you get older and you're just like, oh, that's not right. Because ahora ya estás maliciado, right? So that, or like realizing how like cheesy older shows are, like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, God rest his soul to JDF, but things like that. And I've been doing a thing where like I've started rereading the Harry Potter series now as an adult, and like you can see where there is very like problematic way of writing, and I don't know, I wish I were more excited for this series. I honestly thought I would be, you know, as a little kid. I was like, oh my god, if one day they make it into a series, I'm gonna be so thrilled. And now here we are, and I'm like, I don't know if I can be thrilled about this. Like, I'm really not. I thought I'd be more excited for it, jumping for fucking joy, and I'm not. Also, I feel like I'm just so disappointed by they did my boy Charlie so dirty. Bill was not no offense to the actor, gorgeous man, but Bill was not supposed to look like that. Bill was supposed to be like rebel, rock and roll, cool, him and Charlie, like but I feel like that's one of the issues when you base a film or series off of a book. Like It Ends With Us, how everyone's pissed. So It Ends With Us is essentially a story about a girl in her 20s going through abusive relationships, survival, shit that every other fucking millennial goes through. Yeah, that. So, and if you're healthy and you never have, I love you so much. So, my loquera a un lado. People are pissed because it's Blake Lively and, hold on, what's his fucking name? Justin Baldoni. Jeez. When you can't read your own handwriting. So, Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, they are not in their early 20s. No shade to them. I mean, we've seen it, and I feel like I've mentioned this before. But in, like, shows from the 90s, like, all the teenage cast was, like, in their 20s to almost 30s, right? And people are saying that there's so many other actors, actresses that they could have put for the role instead of them. I kind of agree. Because, like, I love Blake Lively. We have so many redhead actresses that we could have put in the role, you know, much more. And the set pictures and the outfits, it's just not going, right? But, like I said, I feel like in books, there's a little more wiggle room with the level of imagination, obviously, that, like, someone's gonna have to what they perceive these characters to be. Where am I going with all of this besides judging the fuck out of the fact that they're making a Harry Potter reboot? And because it's going to be all of the books, the original books, not Fantastic Beasts yet that we know of, but the original 7 books are going to be made into a series. So is Twilight. Yeah, Lionsgate was like, oh, Harry Potter's doing a reboot. Bet, bitch. And Stephenie Meyer ain't that problematic, so we're gonna go ahead and make a reboot too. Promise you that's how that team meeting went. Now, how to be an original in a world full of reboots. Well, as you saw, our spell casting, history, knowledge, spew queen. What a spew is this? Yes, she fought for the rights of the elves in the books. It wasn't in the films, but it was in the books, damn it. Anyway. makeup look done based off her dress, like the color palette of her dress and all this stuff. How to be an original in a world full of reboots? Well, what is an original to begin with? According to Oxford Languages, it is this: existing from the beginning, the first, the earliest version, something serving as a model or a basis for imitation. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. I have my opinions about that saying, but we're gonna put a pin in that one. Hold on, I need my lamp for this. Oh, shit. What was I saying? It looks like a película de espanto with the light under here. Anyway, basis for imitation or copy, eccentric or unusual individual. And then this is my favorite part of like the definitions for original, but created directly and personally by a particular artist, not a copy or imitation. That is the literal definition of being original. Why this topic of conversation? So this past weekend I just got done being at ASIN, which I was so happy. I have so many things to discuss about ASIN. In another episode, I'm going to do a rated episode about that, just because overall convention, what I thought about it, coming back after COVID, all that good shit. So that's yet to come. I'll announce it, all that good shit. That's when you're going to see all the pictures and videos and everything that I took of ASIN. It just feels better to do it that way than me just doing a random, here, look guys, I went to ASIN post, when I have so much to say. So much to say. But one of the things that I love about ASIN is the individuality that comes out in everyone's cosplay, even when they're portraying an already established character. Oftentimes, right, if someone is cosplaying, well, there are people that will go like directly for like costume to a T. There is always something that comes through about the person portraying the character. This year, my cosplays were these. So I did Katana, Brock, and Princess Peach. And with each one, while I tried my best to emulate the character, which, like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, this year I did not do that good of staying in character. Harley is my best one. But Mr. J was not at the convention this year, so I was like, Harley, till next year. This incredible cosplayer that portrays the Joker every year. Love being able to take a picture with him, but not the point. What I love, I also didn't do now, and there was actually a Bleach meetup this year. And I'm frankly so fucking disappointed in myself. And then there was this cosplayer. She was the female Renji. My whole soul. And if the baddie that portrayed Grimjow a few years ago was also there and I just didn't run into her, what a baby. I'm sure you killed it. But yes, Renji and Grimjow are my... Oh my god, I'll talk about it at the ASIN episode because I was out here saying some outlandish shit, let me tell you. And I was like, geez, I really just, these 2D men just really do it for me. It's a problem. Anyway. So, Anyway. I love the individuality that comes forward from the person emulating the character. Now, what does that have to do in the journey of self-love? Well, being an original in a world full of reboots. Story time! So, this is no dogging to the person that I'm talking about. This is no shade whatsoever by any way, shape, or form. In the road of growth and self-love and spirituality and all that good shit, we often right? Because when you're starting off this journey, you're like, where the fuck do I even begin? And as humans, we are creatures of imitation. It is rare when we have an original thought or idea, especially nowadays in the world of like replicas and idols and Pinterest boards and inspiration coming from fucking everywhere, right? It is rare when we come up with something completely on our own that doesn't have inspiration from something, somewhere, someplace, something that we've seen before. Oftentimes, the places that we pull from are the people around us, whether they are friends, family, acquaintances, whatever it is. We see it's working for them, we're like, damn, I want to try that too. I have a person in my life that was very like that, or I don't know now, there hasn't really been a lot of communication there of late, but I started to notice, and this was a couple years ago now, I was going to say a few, but a couple years ago now, when I was really getting into the motion of starting pop culture and all this stuff, and this is partially why, like I tell you guys, be careful whose life you're trying to emulate, and make sure that it's your own, because you will take on those hardships of the person that you're emulating. I do this. I do pop culture. I go to all these events. I do all this shit because I love it. And because my love for what I do makes the hard ass fucking work that it takes in the sleepless ass hours worth it. Because right now that I am like ranting to y'all slightly, it is 2:12 in the morning. Angel number thing right there, but right, it is 2:12 in the morning. I have so many times been sleepless, exhausted, dehydrated, just going fucking through it to do all of this. Because I love it. Because I know what I've seen, what has been shown to me by God above, that will become of my life through all of this. That will become of me through this journey that was made for me through the process of this. And like I said, no shade whatsoever to this person. Love them to bits. They are awesome. Sweet person, right? Good people. My throat chakra started acting up. But I noticed how, for a really good chunk of time, anything I was into, they were into. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And not in a sense of like, oh, you and your friends started uncovering shared interests. No, I have besties like that where we're like, damn, did you see that? Damn, did you see that? Yeah, fuck, right? Because let's be real, in the spiritual journey, if y'all say y'all are getting excited over every message that the universe sends y'all motherfucking lying. Because y'all know damn well there goes time. Like, for me, right? One of the things I've always done since I was a baby, since I was a little kid, was read my horoscope and now listen to it on Spotify. And there will be a time, right, where weeks will go by and then the universe is like, yeah, you've been avoiding it? Here's a random fucking TikTok. And I'm like, shit. Fine, I'll go do it, right? Because humans are stubborn, hard-headed. And there was a point in time where, like, when I started the different steps of my journey, it was copy and paste of everything I was doing. All of a sudden, they started doing. So I started talking a lot about pop culture and what I do, and then all of a sudden they had a podcast, and boom, they were doing all the shit I was doing on the podcast, like doing reviews and trying to do this stuff, and I'm like, okay, cool. I didn't think of it at the time. I didn't think anything of it at the time. I was just like, oh yeah, no, keep at it, blah, 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 right? Encouraging, because I'm an encouraging ass bitch. Then when I started carrying around my crystals more often and started being more open about my spirituality, boom, all of a sudden they were into crystals and they were into saging and cleansing and Palo Santo and all this stuff. And I was like, okay. And one of the things, one of my bruja gifts, if you will, I can energetically heal a person, right? It is part of my gift. While I can do that, especially where I was in my journey at the time, I shouldn't have been doing that shit to begin with. The only person I should have been healing is me, because a bitch was struggling out here. And it became a habit of every time. And then I got to the point where I literally couldn't do it. The universe was like, fuck no, you need to stop this immediately. And I was like, okay, but I need to help. And they're like, no, you need to stop. And I'm like, okay, whatever you say, God. Sounds good. Then, when I started being more open about just how frequently I actually do tarot readings, they now read tarot. They do all this stuff, and I'm like, okay. And you guys hear my voices and all my accents, all my crazy shit, and all of a sudden they do it too, and I'm just like, okay, right? And I'm like, God, am I being an egocentric bitch thinking that someone that has held such a space in my life for so long is copying everything I'm fucking doing? And then one of the things that I've always discussed for years is me writing a book about my life, about my story, or just a fictionalized version of whatever the fuck I come up with, because I have so many ideas in my brain that are constantly going, right? And then they released a book. And the timing of the release was done very close to when one of my besties was also supposed to do a release, and this whole thing. And I sat there and I was like, huh, that's very interesting. And one of my friends was like, this is literally you. And I'm like, no, they're just me being me, they're just figuring it out. And they're like, no bro, they're literally copying you. And I'm like, no, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't mimic me. They wouldn't try to be me. That's no, right? And my friend's like, look, sometimes this happens, right? People will try to take, because it seems easy, everything you do and do it themselves, unaware of everything that you actually do, for this to seem so flawless. And I sat there and I was like, damn, you think if I start cosplaying crazy, they'll do it too? Right? Me just being stupid. At that point, I'm just being dumb. And it was just a lot of things. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna fuck around and find out real quick. Because I do that sometimes. And yes, have you heard the TikTok sound? I said I was healing, not healed. So the probability of me to snap is still very much there. Yeah, me. And so I put in a little blurb in one of my videos, I can't remember what platform it was on, about a little bit of misinformation around the moon. And then I saw copy and paste of my information on their shit, and I cried. Because not only am I not getting the proper credit and respect that I am due for the amount of work that I put into something, right? You're just, it doesn't even matter. And that's why I was like, I have about imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Not always. That's why, like, I try really hard, like, if I don't know where an image comes from or a source, like, if it's not a stock image that I got off fucking Canva or some shit like that, or if it's not a picture I'm taking myself, right? Like I'll put it in there or some shit. And dar crédito a quien crédito merece. How, and the reason that like I give this person so much grace even to this day, right? Not just because like karma will bite me in the ass if I like talk shit or anything like that. It's not even like that. It's, I know how hard it is to face your shit, face the reality of your fucking demons, and be like, damn, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to be this person anymore. I am going to be genuinely myself. And how do I start? And going through the journey of figuring it out. And it is not easy, right? Because I can't sit here and be like, oh yeah, I discovered tarot on my own. Oh yeah, I fucking invented horoscopes and astrology and all this bullshit. No, I fucking didn't do that, right? I didn't invent crystal healing. I didn't invent fucking saging and fucking cleansing with smoke and all this shit and baths, and yo no me lo inventé. But I did research. I not only saw someone on the internet doing something, was like, you know what? Bet I'm gonna do it because that's gonna work for me now. No. It was a trial and fucking error. Okay? There are so many things to learn in the healing journey, in the process of self-love, right? How are you an original in a world full of reboots and inspiration? Trial and error. Whether you see something, right? And this is why I always tell you guys, please, please, please use your discernment. Not only see something on the internet, especially like, yo soy mexicana, right? I'm Mexican. So a lot of the things that like I even show you guys on A Grain of Salt has been things that I've had to deeply research, because sometimes some things have not worked for me because it's not a part of my culture. And then other things that I discovered did work for me, and I was like, why the fuck does this even work for me? When I went and took a fucking DNA test and saw those numbers, I was like, it's in my blood. I used to make the jokes. Oh my god, I used to make such a joke about it when I was younger. Like, because when I was younger, I couldn't tan for shit. I was pasty. Also, doing a lot of extracurriculars fucks up like the inside and the way that like the chemicals in your body regulate, and then also fucks with your melanin, all this shit. There's a science behind it too. But my joke would be, I'm so pale because my bloodline was colonized so many times over. Apparently not. So then I went further and I was like, okay, let me like start asking some questions. Let me start digging into my history. Granted, not everyone has the ability to do this. For some people, it is harder than others. I completely understand that. Being able to find out the full history is really fucking hard, but I'm lucky enough that I'm able to pull up even what I have pulled up. And once I found out more about my history, which like that just checked off all my little archaeology loving boxes as a little baby. She was like, yay, look, we are investigating history. Did I think it would be our own? Fuck no, but yay, we're investigating history. And I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. And the more I dug into it, the more I was able to understand why a lot of things that I was using that worked well for me as far as spiritual tools, and even as far as like just psychological healing tools, actually worked, versus the things that I had tried that just no. No. Universe was like, bitch, don't do that. Te vas a fregar la vida, right? And I was like, okay, cool. This is why it works. This is why this doesn't work. Now let me cater what I've learned from other places, other resources, and make it so it fits me. Let me completely take this, rip the like base information and make it my own, right? And this is not for the baby witches out there, okay? Todas mis baby witches, baby oracles, baby spiritual healers, this is not for you. This is more advanced shit, but like creating your own. This goes into like the whole grimoire and things like that. So, and I know this is not a grain of salt, my makeup and motivation buddies. Promise you there's a point to this little brujita tangent. If you're sticking around this long, I love you. But I was like, what works for me, right? And mind you, I grew up Catholic, so still very Catholic. I love God, La Virgen, all of it. Like, that's a very big part of who I am, especially La Virgencita de Guadalupe, because soy mexicana. So, and that, I couldn't do it last year. The episode that I was going to do for El 12 de Diciembre, that's coming this year. Stay tuned. It's going to be so good. Can't wait. But La Película of Guadalupe, one of the lines in that film, I absolutely love it. Because this actor, he's like, wait, but you're Jewish? And he's like, yes, but I'm Mexican. And every Mexican is a Guadalupano. No matter what, like, she protects us, right? Es la madre de la tierra mexicana. And I absolutely love her. I don't have my necklace on right now, but love her. Literally, one of the reasons I am alive today is because I do pray to her. And in the journey of self-love, of growth, of life, how are you an original in your own life? What does that mean? Well, you have to find a way to make your life your own, to forge your own path. While it is perfectly okay that we all have inspiration from somewhere, okay? Because, like, literally what I say, Amy Winehouse wing, right? We all have inspiration from somewhere, especially nowadays. It's so hard, like I said, to just poof, something is originally your own. There's this term, this concept. Where is my magic wand? I have not been waving this at all. I feel very disappointed in myself. Accio coffee. Look, it's in my hand. It's like magic. I sound like the fucking, oh my god, the portrait of the fat lady when they're trying to get into the fucking thing and they're like, Fortuna Major, and she's like, ah! Right, really trying to fucking go in. He's like, Fortuna Major, and she's like, I heard you, wait, ah! And then fucking smashes it on the side, and she's like, look, I did it just with the sound of my voice. Me right now with this coffee mug. I love editing. Anyway, so how, my lovely hummingbirds, do you make your journey your own? Well, like I said, I'm not out here doing, and I'm probably not the first cosplaying tarot bitch on the internet either. Someone probably did it before me too. But one of the things that you have to do in the journey of self-love, self-healing, is getting to know thyself, first off. And not just the fun, cute parts that you love about you, the gross parts. That shadow work, super fucking important. Those tower moments, super important. Because some of the biggest lessons that you will learn in life is through your biggest mistakes and your biggest hurts. That being said, in the journey of self-love and self-healing, how are you an original in a world full of reboots? The fucking term. I got so distracted by the fat lady singing. The fucking term that I learned in trauma program was the term of, God, what did they call it? it was either chronic originality or individuality, or like basically like them saying like you're not fucking special. Like, it sounds harsh, right? It really does, but it's the concept of like we all think we're like 1 in a million and there's like a million just like us out there type of thing. And when I like noticed the little story that I had mentioned and all that, I was like, well, I'm not fucking original. Like, other bitches do tarot. Other bitches are out here wearing fucking crystals and do makeup and fucking cosplay and all this shit, right? And it's the chronic idea of like we are 1 in a million type of thing, right? That because it is an isolating thought that we cling to because it's that confirmation bias that it builds of like no one knows what we're going through because nobody else has experienced this and blah blah blah. And that's why also it's very important to tell your story, because you never know who it can inspire that is also going through something similar as you. And the entire time I'm like sitting there, I was like, God, I know for decades dramatic, but for a decade and then some, you've been telling me, write your fucking story. And I'm like, okay, well. And then that happened and I was like, okay, I'll fucking write the book. And then like a few weeks later that happened and I was like, God, am I Delulu? Am I imagining it? Or are they copying me? My friend's like, bro, they're fucking copying you. And I was like, well, that was instant, but that's fine. But my little bullshit aside there, I sat there and I was like, okay, right, during the whole process, how do I make this journey my own? How do I make it about me? Research. Not just your history, like I said, that's not easy for everybody. So the way, like, how are you? Originality comes with the idea of genuineness, of authenticity. How are you authentically yourself in your everyday life? What do you do for you that just makes your soul sing and your heart aflutter? And how do you employ that into your life every day? Now, like I said, it's like if you're looking on the internet, okay, and this is another form of external validation, by the way. If you're looking on the internet and you see someone and you're like, damn, I'm gonna be exactly them. I'm gonna do what they do, dress the way they dress, talk the way they talk, all that shit. I'm gonna tell you this, my love, you will be crudely disappointed and you will be in for a rude fucking awakening, because it will only be surface level. Because you will never be them. Because you do not have the drive that they have. Because you're not them. You have not lived their experiences. You have not lived their story. And if you have similarities, you have not felt the way that they feel things, because you feel them in your own way, specifically to you. So how do you take your experiences, write them all out if you have to, do a fucking timeline. Mind you, please do this with either someone of your inner circle that you definitely trust close at hand, because it can bring up some triggers. And if not, do it, talk about it, like if you have a therapist, talk about it with your therapist. Be like, hey, I'm thinking of doing a trauma timeline. What do you think? Like, can we work on this together? I really want to unpack this shit. Because a lot of the times when we crave what another person has, when we crave another person's attention, or we crave to be like somebody else, not ourselves, so we think, is because either we want to emulate the joy we think they're emulating, or like the personality, the person they're putting forward, all that, or we see aspects of themselves that we wish we had. So it's that whole fake it till you make it. Or they remind us of ourselves before all the hurt. or things like that. Like it can fall into any of those categories. So look into doing trauma timeline and where you're holding on to things. And if you are mimicking somebody else, look at why it is. Why are you clinging onto the idea of this person so heavily to try to make it you when it's not? And then unpack of like, okay, why am I doing this? What void within myself is not being fulfilled? Or what areas do I think I am having a lack mindset in that is making me chase after an image of another person versus being authentically myself? What blockages do I have there? Wow, yes, we live in a world of idols and Pinterest boards and mimicking everything that we see and do on the internet at this point, right? Because everything is under Wi-Fi. How can we take that inspiration and cater it to our unique identities? Because while, yes, chronic uniqueness is a thing and that confirmation bias and all that shit, right? Outside of that, we are all our own person. And the best thing we can do for ourselves in the journey of self-love and self-healing is be entirely ourselves, authentically ourselves. And yes, I know you're listening to a cosplaying ass bitch that cosplays every fucking character in the book that she can. Well, yes, I do. I always try to put a little bit of me into all the characters. Because even though it has taken me damn near 29 years, I can finally sit here, my lovely hummingbirds, and tell you wholeheartedly, I am so fucking happy to be alive. I'm so thrilled to be alive. And I'm so thrilled to not want to be anybody else but myself. But as fucking crazy alcohólica. Like, I'm not laughing at alcoholism. I'm laughing at just the audacity of my existence in drinking. And I'll get into that in an episode of Cafecito Conversación, talking about endo and alcohol, but that's not the point right now. As fucking lover of music and mummies and fucking history and magic and everything that and makeup. I fucking love makeup. I love glitter. I'm so sorry to my family and my parents. I love fucking having the tatas out. Like, I love wearing the fucking outfits that I do. I love being me. And it has taken so long and so much shit. And not just like external shit that has happened to me, but a lot of shit that I put myself through. Okay, a lot of bullshit that I did. A lot of toxicity that I brought forward. Right? I'm not proud of it. I'm really not. But it took facing that and not wanting to be that anymore to sit here and be like, I'm happy. I'm gonna cry. Not only am I happy, right, because living with depression is a bitch and so is anxiety, but I have, thank you, Jeremy, I have raised my plateau so that when the downs are down, they're not as low. And I'm happy being me. As quirky and silly and randomly dancing in the middle of the fucking street and sometimes on a corner when I shouldn't be. And it's not like así dancing on a corner, no se mal pensados. I'll see one of my friends and I'll just start like dancing at the stoplight because I'm fucking excited to see them type of shit. Like, I'm weird. I really am. And I love tarot and I love magia and I love everything that makes me, and I wouldn't want to change her for anything in the fucking world. Even though it took me forever. here we are, doing it. And that's the point. The point of the journey of self-love. To be an original in a world full of fucking reboots, babe. Is to love yourself at every phase of the fucking journey. And that with every phase that you move forward, you are more yourself than you were yesterday, last Tuesday, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, 5 years ago. So that when you look back as a little viejita or viejito, you are a little old wrinkly person, because I am manifesting that we're all gonna grow old, okay? No more young deaths. We're all gonna grow to be fucking, what Ava Brand say, 88. Right? Like, how are we gonna have Mario Kart parties in the retirement home? Y'all better make it. Fight for yourselves, okay? I love you. You don't want to look back and think, damn, I spent my life pretending to be somebody I'm not. I spent my life wanting to be somebody else, to be somebody I'm not, because I was too scared to face the reflection looking back at me in the mirror. That's it, my lovely hummingbirds. That's all I got for y'all for this episode. I teared up. I gotta go change my contacts. My happy statement shocked the fuck out of me. Editing this is not gonna be easy. But I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope that you love this crazy ass setup we got with POPCulture now. I hope you love the headphones. Oh shit. My magic wand that I got at Universal. Oh, also, just a little tidbit about the shit that's going on in Florida. So, found out through TikTok, of course, truckers are completely refusing to go to Florida now, which means that unless it's made there, it's not getting shipped there. So, everyone that is still in Florida, I hope that there are places that you can get the necessary supplies and stuff that you need, because that's fucking scary. And like everyone on the internet is saying, like, Florida really is in that fuck around and find out. Hopefully things change soon, but since the law is the 1718 thing that fucking DeSantis passed basically said that out of state IDs and licenses, like, that shit ain't valid. It's like, I don't know, he's making it real hard on the people that are there, and I don't like that. But anyway, that's it, my lovely hummingbirds. That's how you are original in a world full of reboots. Be yourself, face yourself, love yourself, grow, learn, and move forward. As always, les mando mucha paz, muchos besos, y les recuerdo que miren hacia la luna. Sending you much peace, many kisses, and reminding you to always look up at the moon. I love you all so much. Catch me tomorrow, finally, for the Aries deep dive. As for that reading for Aries, it got real intense and real specific, and if y'all don't resonate for that, I'm so sorry. I asked the universe, can I make it a pick a card, and they were like, hell no, this is the message. So that's the message. I love y'all. That's just a little that y'all need to know for tomorrow. And yay, season 4 POPCulture, we doing it. I'm so excited. Had to take a week off because had to recover my energy. Still struggling here and there. Anniversary of the passing of is coming up, so I had to take a week off to prepare and get everything done, because I know I am going to be absolutely useless to y'all this week. So but yeah, that's it. I love y'all so much. I already said my goodbyes. That's it. Get your readings from me on Calendly. And I already said it on TikTok, so if you saw it, you read through my comments, Etsy store coming soon. I'm really excited. I can't wait. So many good things are coming. So much good shit is happening. I love you. And yeah, okay, that's it. I love you. Have a good one. Bye.